So I've heard a lot about early retirement, FIRE, financial independence, things like that all over the internet. And to be honest, I haven't really given it a second look. To me, it sounded too good to be true, and anything that sounds like it's too good to be true, I often just write off as a scam. But recently I took a deep dive into what is actually this early retirement financial independence thing. And I'm going to share with you guys what it is, how you can actually achieve financial independence and retire early. So we're often taught by society that we're supposed to be good in school, get a job, work hard, and then when you're about 65, you can retire and relax, do what you love. But that is also if you're even healthy enough to do what you love. But the question is, who said that we're supposed to retire at 65? There's no law that states you have to work until you're 65. Or so why is it that we just automatically assume I have to work until that age and then I can retire? And why at all do things that we enjoy, that we love at the end of our life when we're weaker, our health might not be as good than right now when we're young and fit and have all these aspirations? So what if we took our retirement from the end of our life and pushed it forward to the middle of our life, or just sprinkled in the retirement in between our life? What if I do things that I love, like yoga, maybe go surfing, traveling, reading, maybe doing pottery? What if I do all those things now? Why do I have to wait until I'm 65 to then potentially still be able to surf or potentially still be able to travel? But the number one thing that would hinder me from doing the things I love right now is that I couldn't afford it. How am I going to pay my rent, my food? Everything that I need costs money, and if I'm not working, if I'm doing the things I love, how do I pay my bills? And that is definitely a good question. So the only way I'm able to sustain this kind of lifestyle, this early retirement, is if I either have a huge amount of savings already, or if I have some kind of system that is automatically making me money. And this is where this FIRE movement kicks in. So FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. You basically stop spending so much money on things that you don't really need. So a similar idea behind minimalism. And instead you take that money that you would otherwise spend and you save and invest that money either into real estate or ETFs or stocks, whatever you like. Now, you've heard me talk about lifestyle inflation. That is when you inflate your lifestyle and how much you spend according to your income. So for example, if you suddenly get a raise, you start thinking about getting a fancier car or a bigger apartment, nicer clothes, and you inflate your spendings according to your earnings. But what if we actually saved that extra money? So if you, for example, spend $1,000 a month and you earn $2,000 a month, that means you can save about $1,000. And now you get a raise. You now earn $3,000. If you keep your spending level at $1,000, you now can save double. You now can save $2,000. But if you inflate it, then your saving amount pretty much stays the same. And here's why saving is so beneficial. We're going to take this a step further and talk about the compounding effect. So this is what's interesting. When you take your money and you invest it in something that is going to give you a positive return on your investment, you can experience something called the compounding effect. And it is best described in an example. So let's say those $2,000 that you now have extra from your raise, you're going to invest. So we're going to take that $2,000 and invest it somewhere with a 10% return rate. Now that is a little high than usual, but for the sake of this example, let's say you get 10% out of that. Now in 1 year, you're going to earn 10% of those $2,000, so you're going to have a total of $2,200. So you earned $200 through that investment. Now the second year, you get 10% not on the $2,000, but on the $2,200. So you now have $2,420, so you earned $220. And in the beginning, this is not super interesting, but the compounding effect really has its effect at the end. So if you leave your money in for about 10, maybe 20 years. So after 10 years, you're going to have $5,100. That is more than double than what you started out with. And in 20 years, you're actually going to have $13,000 just from those $2,000 that you invested in. So compounding effect really hockey sticks up your investment. So if you invest wisely, you can actually save much faster and kind of have your money work for you. But when it comes to investing, make sure you do your research, but also don't be too scared of investing. Do be cautious, but don't let your fear of investment hinder you from investing at all, because that is a mistake that is almost just as bad as in not investing wisely. And I really encourage you to start investing as early as possible, because as I just explained, the compounding effect really has its effect long term. So the earlier you can start investing, the bigger your return will be in the end. So now that we've established that you need to be spending less on crap and taking that money that you now have extra and investing it, the question now is, how much do you need to have saved up to be able to retire early? Now there's this 30x rule. Some people go with 25, some people go with 40. I would personally go with 30. It's a little bit more on the safer side. So the 30x rule says that you need to save about 30 times what you spend in a year. And when you have that saved up, then you can retire. And theoretically, you can live off that money forever. Remember, I said we kind of want our money to work for us. So number one, you have to figure out how much do you spend in a year. And as I said, try to not spend as much money. Try to reduce your spendings as much as possible. Now, you don't have to go extreme and be eating beans on toast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or eating instant noodles for every meal. You have to kind of strike a balance between doing things that you love, being healthy, and making some sacrifices. So for example, the thing that has the biggest impact on your budget is probably your housing, your rent. So ask yourself, do you need to spend so much money on rent? Can you move somewhere where it's cheaper? Can you maybe reduce the size of your housing? Then the second thing is often transportation. So a lot of people have a car, even though it's not 100% necessary. So do you need a car? Or for example, do you need to go out and eat every single time, or can you stay at home and cook? So you do have to make some sacrifices, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to have any fun at all. You can do fun and valuable things that are for free or cheap. For example, if you'd love to learn a new language or learn playing the guitar, there are a bunch of free resources out there. So there's always a way. You don't have to have a dull and boring life. You can still do the things you love, but just cut down on your spendings. And as I said, this is where minimalism is very helpful. I have a lot of other videos on that. You can check out my playlist. So let's say you spend $1,500 per month. That is going to equal to $18,000 a year. So we're going to take $18,000 times 30. That's going to be $540,000. That's about $500,000. I would suggest increasing that number a little bit if you're planning to have children in the future, since your monthly spending will be a little bit higher when you do have children, for example. So you have to invest $540,000 in order to retire early. But also we do have to remember that this entails not inflating your lifestyle once you retire. You have to keep living and spending the way you set your budget to each year. You can't spend more. So back to our example of having gotten a raise and now being able to save $2,000 a month. So we're saving $2,000 a month and investing it. Now I'm going to be a little more realistic and say maybe we get a 5% return on investment. So it will take us 15 years of saving $2,000 a month to be able to reach those $540,000 and be able to retire early. So that means if you started when you were 20 years old, so fresh out of college, you got a job and you started saving right away, then you can retire when you're 35. Now this is just an example, but even if you start this plan and you are 30 and you pull this through and it takes you maybe about 15 years, then you're 45. That's still pretty young than the average 65. And with 45, you're still young. You can still go out and travel and do what you want to do. The thing with this early retirement is the more money you can save each month, the faster you're going to get to your early retirement. Now, of course, you can cut down your costs as much as possible, but you can really only cut down your living costs to a specific amount. You can't go lower. You do have to pay for a roof over your head. But another way to be able to save more money is to actually get another job. But also think about if you can handle it. Don't overstress, overwork yourself to the point where you are absolutely at the breaking point. But if you can handle it, consider getting another job. And with getting another job, it is more beneficial to get a job that you can scale up. So what I mean by that is, don't get a job where you are, for example, working at McDonald's or working as a waiter, because that is not a job where you can scale up the money that you earn. So instead, if you are maybe a little entrepreneurial, you can start your own business. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or super innovative. It can just be as simple as a dog walking service. And you can scale that up by hiring more people, and you can make your business bigger and bigger and grow more, and the potential of earning money goes up as well. That is what I mean by scaling up. Just a little something to think about. So now that I've explained the principle of FIRE, this early retirement, I hope that you found this interesting. It is a pretty simple concept that is, in my opinion, hard to do. You do have to make quite a bit of sacrifices. It's not easy, and maybe not for everyone, but I feel like it is a very interesting concept that is possible, that no one, at least in school or traditionally, no one talks about or teaches us. So I hope that I could teach you something that maybe is something for you. Let me know in the comments down below if this is something that really interests you. I find it very interesting, and even though it's very difficult, I have run through the numbers. It is something that I want to try to aim towards. Give this a thumbs up if you learned something, if you found this interesting, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.